Hello and welcome to a very special review of the Adepta Sororitas, the Triumph of Saint Katherine. I had planned on releasing this video on Wednesday, but I was very pushed for time creating all of the other daily videos that I'm doing right now, that wasn't an option. That unfortunately been delayed a little bit. Anyway, it's here. It's an absolute glorious model. It will cost you £65, which is a fair bit of money. However, quite a few people, myself included, have drawn comparisons with the Ossiarch Bone Reaper's Catacross, Mortarch of the Necropolis model. They're both £65. They both come on the same 120mm Citadel oval base, because I was expecting Catacross to be bigger, on a bigger base than this. I haven't got Catacross. I'd love to do a comparison. The only way I'm going to do that is through continued support of the channel, comments, subscribing, liking the videos, buying the models through Element Games using the affiliate link, and support on Patreon. That's the only way I can bring you more and more of these reviews. Games Workshop are never going to send me anything for free. So the difference between this kit and that kit is that Catacross has 46 parts, whereas this Triumph of Saint Katherine has 85, almost double the number of parts. I know it's not all about the parts, but there is an awful lot of detail on this model, which we'll go through. Then we'll do some size comparisons because there aren't any spare parts, and then I'll go through all of the units rules in game. The first thing I want to say is the box. I said it on the unboxing in the first look. I was pretty shocked, pretty taken aback by how small the picture was of Saint Katherine. Maybe it's to you know, stop any false hope, which is ironic because they're, you know, Sisters of Battle and you get faith dice. But maybe it's to lower the hype in terms of the size of the model. If we very gently, I mean, the model is at Buckaroo stage right now. Any piece could fall off, but it is a similar kind of size to the picture. So maybe it was, you know, oh, we don't want people to think it's a bigger model than it is. A bit like Catacross. Well, that's what I feel about Catacross anyway. However, they're Sisters of Battle. They're, you know, normal Sisters of Battle size. I don't think anyone's going to think for 1 second that the Sisters have suddenly jumped up in size. The picture that they should have used, because I genuinely feel that that is a mistake, and it's such a crying shame because it doesn't give the model enough canvas, in my opinion, to really shine, to show you all of that detail. The back is another story. The rear is beautiful, as you'd expect, but compared to the picture on the instruction guide, now that is the picture you want to see. That size, maybe not that size, a little bit smaller, but that would be stunning if that was on the front. But unfortunately, they put it on the instruction guide and not on the box. If you turn the box over, they've actually gone landscape, which I think was a good choice. By the way, this isn't a box review. I will look at the model in a moment. They draw your attention to all the specific details, which is fantastic. Everything from the marbled stonework of the floor with all of the fleur-de-lis iconography to St. Katherine herself. She's borrowed Celestine's armour, or is it the other way around? Who actually knows? To the sort of gravitic coffin, sort of open casket, whatever you want to call it. And then all of the sisters themselves from the different orders. Now, all of this scroll work, believe it or not, you will have to paint yourself. It's not inscribed. That looks stunning. Good job if you're going to be painting all that. However, the skulls on the flag are raised. But yeah, the writing on the scrolls, you're going to have to, you know, either write it or handwrite it yourselves. And the back of the box even goes into as much detail as to highlighting the 6 individual sisters from the base. Now, if this was a Forge World model, it would probably cost about £150. It might have a little bit more detail to it. But I think what they would probably do is incorporate each model into the big base. As it stands, it does suck that you can't have these sisters separately, because each one is unique and stunning, and I'll take them all off in a moment and show you. But maybe there's a way of cutting into some 32mm bases and driving a wedge in there so that you could, you know, easily plop them on a base, because this sister here, the Spirit of Saint Katherine, absolutely lovely model, and would make a great canoness in my opinion, and maybe even this one here would make a good Imagifier, you could say that, and the one at the back could technically make a Dialogus. I mean, yeah, it would have been great if you could actually use all these individual sisters separately, but if you did, then this model wouldn't be as awe-inspiring as it is with all of these 6 sisters, well, and obviously sleeping St. Katherine there as well. So we're gonna have a look at all of these miniatures individually. Well, I'm going to look at the model first. Now, as I say, it is on a sort of buckaroo stage right now. This is probably the best way I can do it. So as you can see, it's sloped a little bit, but that's because I haven't glued it. I haven't glued any of these models to the base. The trickiest bits were, yeah, the cherubs. They were quite tricky to glue on, but even like the arms, you've got 2 places to glue. The wings were a little bit tricky, but other than that, everything was very straightforward. Obviously the cloaks, you might have some gaps, so you just got to, you know, put a bit more glue, and then once that's completely dry, sand it down. But let's have a look at the first model here. This lady right at the front with this awesome looking sword and shield, the Spirit of Saint Katherine. She's got the shield quite close to her body. It's all happening with this model. Yes, it's going to be difficult to paint all the way in there and behind the shield, but I'm sure I'll manage. Anyway, so that's the Spirit of Saint Katherine. So she plonks there. It's worthy to note that this stone is the only extra part of the base. I've glued the stone on. I'm pretty sure I can paint around it and, you know, do a good job. But that's the Spirit of Saint Katherine. Let's turn the box around again, so I've got a nice reference to work from. The next one here is the Simulacrum of the Ebon Chalice. I don't think I'll ever be able to say that, and that's this lady just walking down the stairs. I immediately thought it was like a candle or a candle holder or something, but she's got this awesome chalice that's on fire, and must be giving her a lot of heat. She's got the candles on her power plant, believe it or not. Yeah. And then he's got another little candle there, but looks really cool. Yeah, there's a bit of a gap there. I think I've filed that down, might need to file it down again. Before I spray these, I go through another once over. So that's the Ebon Chalice, Simulacrum of the Ebon Chalice. She just goes there. She's sort of about to step down the stairs. This lady here is the Censer of the Sacred Rose. So this is a censer. Don't know whether that is or this is. I think this is the censer, because it, yeah, senses demons or something. No, I'm only kidding. It obviously, you know, gives you a good fragrance around the place. Again, she's got candles on a power plant. Incredible. So lots of detail on her and this big censer thing. Then let's go for this lady over here, which is a Petals of the Bloody Rose. She's got a massive dish here of rose petals. I'd probably say that she's the nicest smelling out of all these, just as a guess. She's also spreading the petals all over the joint, making such a mess. She's such a messy litter bug, but she's grabbing the petals and she's just hurling them at people. And she's got 3 candles. She's living the dream right now, this lady. So yeah, need flowers, she's the lady to go to. We might as well talk about this lady here. She's got this beautiful heart emoji on a stick. No, it's just the icon of the valorous heart. Lovely order. It's got this heart like emblem thing. I might just paint like hearts all over a cloak. That'd be cool. She's living the dream too. She's got 3 candles. Not to be outdone. Oh well, there's a 4th one there. If that is a proper candle. I think it is, you know. Might just be an icon. I'll have to look at the back of one of them painted. It doesn't really show. So that is the Valorous Heart, the icon. And then this lady in the back here, shouting about, is the Simulacrum of the Argent Shroud. Lots of these, I don't know what they are. Scrolls maybe in there. She's got her beads and a little eye symbol. And she's got a book with some kind of cutouts, but you're going to have to write your font and things in there. Not too bad. And then she's got this power plant at the back with this scaffolding, with this with fleur-de-lis icons on. It's kind of like a scaffolding type pole thing. And she's got loads of candles. Wow. 7 candles I count. So she wins the candle competition, and she's got this lovely banner as well for everyone to see, but she can't witness it. It's a shame it's not sort of higher up. That would have been cool, but yeah, so that's her. Let's just plop her back there. And then the piece de la resistance, the star of the show, of which these ladies wouldn't be around, is actually the skeleton of Saint Katherine. Oh, just raise this up. Yeah, as you can see, the cherubs went on really well. I think them wobbling, I think they're going to help with your writing your font on the scrolls. Lots of parts to this actually, more than I expected. Still a few gaps, so I need to brush over them. And they've even kind of posed her in like a praying kind of pose. It's awesome. You can see the bones through the armour, and this little heart on fire. Yeah, it's really, really cool. Casket, coffin, got the grav plates as well. So there's the marriage there of new technology and, you know, like a coffin for the dead as well. And then you've got all of the order's little icons, motifs. And none of them are, you know, duplicated. So you've got the minor orders as well as the major ones. It's incredible. All the way around, you've got every single one, which is fantastic when you think about it. Because, yeah, this model can be used in any, you know, Sisters of Battle Order army, which is great, unlike Junith. Okay, so we'll just pop her back. Well, let's have a little look at the base if we can without them all falling over. Oh, you're drunk. Yeah, I knew she would go first. But yeah, you can see there lots of detail. It's going to be easy just to plop these off. I love the fact that they made it modular and that you can just have them loose. It's going to be easy for you to, you know, move this model around without the cherubs. You know, you can put the cherubs in a safe place, and then these can just go in your normal foam trays. Just for transportation, it's going to be, you know, much easier than if it was all glued down. But I think once I've painted mine, then I will glue them all down. I think, because for me it's more of a centerpiece, more of a showpiece than an actual working battlefield unit. But there you go. Let's pop her down for a little rest in peace. And yeah, out of all of them, she's going to be the weakest one because her plug is on like the back foot rather than a few of them which is on the front, so they're going to be more stable than her, and also she's sort of walking down the stairs. Anyway, that is Triumph of Saint Katherine. Let's go through some size comparisons. I would love to have done some size comparisons with Catacross, I really would, but alas, we don't have her. So, next to Celestine herself, she's swooped in, grabbed her armour, put it on, and then flown off. maybe wafted all of those rose petals all about the place as well into a swirling tornado of floral pleasure. Anyway, that is Celestine. So she's one of the other kind of special characters, I want to call them, in the army. Here is Celestine's brother, Sanguinius. Oh no, sorry, that's the wrong era, wrong place, wrong time. Here is a Penitent engine. I would love to do some more comparisons with Junith and the Exorcist and things, and I'll in those size comparisons I'll put Triumph of Saint Katherine in there to show you, because they're obviously not released yet, but mark my words, I will do that. So you can see just kind of how small or ish the Penitent engine. I mean, it's perfectly fine size, but just compared to Triumph of Saint Katherine or even Saint Celestine, I mean, Triumph of Saint Katherine, it's the cherubs that give it the height. But if it didn't have those cherubs on there, then most things would be taller than the model. Here is a battle sister with a Simulacrum. So that gives you an idea of like how big Simulacrum is. You know, it's the tallest sort of pole icon there. And the sister is, yeah, similar height to all of those. Speaking of candles, we have Amalia Novena. In my opinion, one of the most highly detailed plastic miniatures Games Workshop have ever produced. The amount of detail on it is truly stunning. Please go and check out my review. She's also got a load of fleur-de-lis icons on her base, and she would just work if you took her off that base and just had her kind of stood there, sort of like chilling out, you know. She just, the amount of detail on her just would work very well. It might be an idea to have her there, because there seems to be a gap there. You know, if you took that rock away, you could put another one, but then I guess that would probably spoil the synergy, the symmetry, sorry, of the model, having one, then two, then two, then one. Lovely group of orders. But in my opinion, it'd look pretty cool having her on there. And then the Canoness, which is, yeah, another HQ. So I've now got 4 HQ choices for sisters. The Canoness, Canoness Veridon, Celestine, and Triumph of Saint Katherine. Of course, there'll be another Canoness coming, and of course there'll be Junith coming. And only very recently, I had a little bit of an act of faith myself. I do actually have a missionary in the form of Pius Vaughan, you know, with that big chainsaw with the flamer. It's like a flamer chainsaw. So I'll be doing a separate review of Pius Vaughan and also of a preacher, you know, Thaddeus in the Blackstone Fortress set. So stay tuned to the channel for those separate reviews. The final size comparisons I want to make with these, because I got sidetracked with the Canoness there, is just with normal Space Marines. So here you go. Space Marines don't really have any of these kind of dioramas, which is quite odd. The most diorama you'll get is through the Primarchs, but still. This is a normal Space Marine on the left and a Primaris on the right. Sizes work quite well. Obviously, if you take away the base, the Space Marine is a bit taller. But the Primaris is a fair bit taller. The Primaris is what I kind of expected Space Marines to be compared to, you know, normal Sisters models, but still works well with a Legacy Space Marine or a group of Legacy Space Marines. Anyway, that's all the size comparisons I wanted to make. I'm always up for suggestions for more size comparisons in any of the future videos, so if you can think of any, please always put it in the comment and I'll try and take those on board for next time. Okay, so this is my part of the review where I will go through all of Triumph of Saint Katherine's rules. Now you'll find the Triumph of Saint Katherine in your brand new Sisters of Battle Codex under the HQ choices after the Canoness and Celestine. Triumph of Saint Katherine is a power points cost of a 9. and a points cost of 185, making it the most expensive unit in the entire army. So, the Triumph of Saint Katherine is a movement of 6 inches, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 3, 18 wounds, attacks, well, you've got 14 attacks, leadership 9 as save of 3+. Now the reason why I hesitated with attacks is because it's one of these models where the characteristics change as it suffers damage. So if the model has between 10 and 18 wounds, it can put out 14 attacks, and it also has 5 relics. If it has between 5 and 9 wounds, it's got 8 attacks and 2 relics, and between 1 and 4 wounds, it's got 6 attacks and 1 relic. Now, the Triumph of Saint Katherine is a single model equipped with 6 bolt pistols, the Martyr Sword, relic weapons, frag grenades, crack grenades. You can only include one of this model in your army. So bolt pistols work as normal. They're a range 12-inch, pistol 1, strength 4, AP 0 and damage 1 weapon. The Martyr Sword is a strength +3, so that's strength 6, AP -3 and a damage of 2. And also when the bearer fights, no more than 4 attacks can be made with this weapon. Okay, that's fair enough. So you get 4 attacks with the Martyr Sword, and then you've got 14 attacks with the relic weapons, which is a strength +2, which is strength 5, AP -1 and damage of 1. Frag grenades and crack grenades work as normal. So that's quite decent. You know, you're getting 4 attacks at AP -3 and damage 2. So that's good. But then it's also got another 10 attacks at AP -1 and damage 1. That's not as good. You know, it'd be better if it was AP -2 or something. But yeah, so close combat, it's all right. Abilities: Axe of Faith, Sacred Rites and Shield of Faith. So already it's getting that invulnerable save. Which leads me on to another ability, the Praesidium Protectiva, or Protectiva. This model has a 4+ invulnerable save, and when resolving an attack made against this model, you subtract 1 from the hit roll. That's decent. So 3+ normal, 4+ invulnerable, it's got the 18 wounds, and you have to subtract 1 from the hit roll, which gives it a bit more survivability. The Fiery Heart. Morale tests taken for friendly Adeptus Sororitas units within 6 inches of this model are automatically passed. That's one of the main reasons you'll get this model, is because within 6 inches, automatic morale tests are passed. Solemn Procession. This model cannot embark aboard a transport. That's self-explanatory, really. Although it would be cool to have St. Katherine strapped to the top of an impulsor, bombing it at full speed. With the little cherubs just holding on to the rails. Anyway, I hope you enjoy that image. The next ability is Relics of the Matriarchs. This model has a number of relics as detailed in the damage table above. Each relic grants this model an ability as follows. This model can only have 1 of each relic. When this model suffers damage that reduces its number of relics, select which of the relics and their abilities this model no longer has. If this model regains lost wounds and that increases its number of relics, select which of the relics and their abilities this model regains. So you want to be having a Hospitaller near Triumph of Saint Katherine big time. You know, the ability to regain D3 wounds. However, toughness 3, remember, so you can just throw a lot of bullets at this model and it won't be able to take them, and you'll eventually whittle down all of those 18 wounds. So, these are the relics. Censer of the Sacred Rose. At the start of each turn, gain 1 miracle dice. It's pretty good. Simulacrum of the Ebon Chalice. At the start of your shooting phase, 1 roll d6 for each enemy unit within 6 inches of this model. Adding 1 to the result if the unit being rolled for is a Psyker, and 1 to the result if the unit being rolled for is a Chaos unit. On a 5+, the unit being rolled for suffers D3 mortal wounds. That's quite nice. You've got to be really close though, 6 inches, and it's got to be at the start of the shooting phase. And 5+, yeah, 5+ just to get 1 mortal wound, or, well, statistically you're going to get 2 or more. Petals of the Bloody Rose. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by models in friendly Adeptus Sororitas units whilst their unit is within 6 inches of this model. It's always 6 inches. I really feel that that's limiting. In my opinion, I think it should be 12. 6 inches is pretty short range. I'd much rather it be 12, but there we go. Still, adding 1 to hit rolls, very decent. Icon of the Valorous Heart. Once per phase, you can perform 1 act of faith for a friendly unit within 6 inches that has the Acts of Faith ability, even if you have already performed 1 or more acts of faith in that phase. That's quite good. So you've already had an act of faith, you can perform another one. And finally, the Simulacrum of the Argent Shroud. When you perform an act of faith for a friendly unit whilst it is within 6 inches of this model, you can increase or decrease the value of 1 miracle dice used by 1 before you use it to a maximum of 6 and a minimum of 1. This is not cumulative with any other abilities that can increase or decrease the value of miracle dice, e.g. the Dialogus Stirring Rhetoric ability. That could come in handy a fair amount, you know, increasing it by 1. So a lot of these you don't really need to roll any dice for, you know, with the exception of that Ebon Chalice one. So that's, you know, they're automatic abilities depending on the 5 relics. You know, and you can take 8 wounds, you see, before you drop from 5 relics down to 2. But you can only have 1 of each relic. But you get Hospitaller in there, get some more wounds in, you know, say the models drop down to 8 wounds, get Hospitaller in there, say you're lucky and you get 3 more, that bumps up to 11, and then hey presto, you've got 5 more relics again. It all depends on what units you've got around this model, because this is a buff which is quite short range. You've got to have models around it. Now the only downside of that is that in a way what you're doing is you're giving your enemy a shooting fish in a barrel scenario where you may well be dependent on having units around this model to gain all of those abilities. And if you don't gain those abilities, that's one of the reasons why you pay so many points for this model. Also, it's 6-inch movement. If you're against a fast opponent, they'll be able to move around the board, outshoot it, and like with a lot of units in 40k, you're going to cause a lot of damage by just standing back and shooting it as much as possible. It is a character, but still, why would you want to go close to this model where all of its units are buffed and it can do some damage in combat? You want to be not far away from this model, but you know, you've got some distance, but you want to be a good distance away to take it out of action without committing too much into it. The only problem with that is usually the model's going to have a good bubble around it and protecting it, generating, birthing, if you will, 1 miracle dice at the start of the turns. It's just going to be birthing those. So in my opinion, shoot it from afar, outflank it, or get something in that does an awful lot of attacks and whittle it down from that 3+ save, because they're all in normal power armor. It's not scary. They're all toughness 3, and they don't have any 2+ saves or anything like that. The keywords: Imperium, Adeptus Ministorum, Adeptus Sororitas, Character Infantry, Triumph of Saint Katherine. So there you go. That is my review of the Sisters of Battle Triumph of Saint Katherine model. What do you guys think of the model? I think it's a wonderful centerpiece and like a mini diorama. I'm a big fan. I really like the look of Catacross, and I'm pleased that Games Workshop have committed to a model like this. Luckily for me, I'm not too concerned about the rules. I go for the rule of cool most of the time. You've seen my models that I do build and the options I go for. I've got this model to celebrate the Sisters of Battle release and for it to look cool in my collection. What do you guys think? Put it in the comments below. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor Protects.